Hey guys, so welcome back to our channel.
This week's video, we are going to give you some top tips of things to do in Pakistan.
Hi, we're Nadia and Irfan and we've travelled over 40 countries around the world.
We're expecting a little pumpkin in October 2021, but that's not going to stop us in achieving our lifelong ambition, visiting every single country.
So come follow us on our journey while we travel around the globe. So if you've not already seen it, we did do a don't do things in Pakistan, link up here.
So yeah, we've been to Pakistan between us around 6 or 7 times, and we're looking to go back again very soon. I'm actually dying to, I keep going on about it over and over again. When we visited in February this year, I absolutely fell in love with the country all over again, and we did so many amazing things, and so I really wanted to record a video to give you some tips on the things that we really enjoyed and what you must do when you're out there.
Okay, so kick things off. Get yourself a tour guide.
Yeah.
This was an absolute game changer for us when we went to the Badshahi Mosque in Lahore. This is something that we wouldn't generally do because we've been to Pakistan so many times.
Yeah.
But actually getting a tour guide
really kind of took that Lahore experience to the next level. So yeah, we stumbled across this tour guide called Anjum, who's a lovely person. When we were going to, well, we were making our way to Badshahi Mosque, but actually ended up in Lahore Fort somehow, which is right next to it. And Anjum approached us and he said, you know, do you want a tour guide to take you around? And we thought, yeah, why not, go on then.
Yeah, he knew so much about the place and history, and we were so shocked that to find where we would have gone normally to a mosque and taken a few pictures and walked around, there was actually
There's more to it. Yeah, there was so much more to like a beautiful building. There was a lot of history behind the Lahore Fort. Badshahi Mosque had some beautiful areas which you could basically sit down and experience different sound waves and how it travelled. I mean, I wouldn't have known that. We would have just gone, taken some pictures and said, yeah, beautiful.
I actually went 10 years ago and I never knew that. So actually going for this time, I was absolutely shocked that some of the architecture, the way the mosque was built back then in the Mughal era, with the sound waves was just out of this world. So
he also took us around the walled city of Lahore the next morning as well, which was really beautiful. And if we hadn't got the tour guide, then you know we wouldn't have experienced the walled city of Lahore this way. So it definitely pays to get a tour guide. We'll put Anjum's number in the description. So yeah. On
that point as well, we also got to use our drone, and you know, some of the rules in Pakistan can be a bit strange, so you're not allowed to use a drone inside the building or in the premises. So for example, in Badshahi Mosque, you're not allowed to fly the drone, but if you're from outside, you can fly the drone into the mosque. And we wouldn't have known this information if it wasn't for our tour guide.
Yeah.
And he took us to some local spots where we were able to fly our drone and capture some beautiful footage.
Yeah, so definitely get a tour guide if you get the opportunity to, when you're around and about some of the monuments or you know special places in different parts of the cities.
Second thing on the list I would suggest you do is make sure you have a traditional cup of tandoori chai.
Oh yeah, so we tried
in a clay
this.
pot.
Oh yeah, in a clay pot. So I tried this in Food Street in Lahore and got myself a cup of tandoori chai after you know a day of walking around the city, and it just really hit the spot.
It's so
amazing. Really hit the spot.
It was just literally bubbling from the clay oven, and it was just adds to the flavour, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Chai or tea in general, which is the chai they call it in Pakistan is because it's milk tea, so it's pure milk, tea bag cooked with loads of sugar. Just generally you have that. I think I had it at least 3, 4, 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have it throughout the day. You know, you sit down, go to someone's house, chai. You go to a restaurant, chai. You meet someone, chai. Just generally, but try a traditional tandoori clay pot chai, and that will just take it to the next level.
Yeah. So this one is a must. You should try out the local cuisine.
That's obvious. That's a given.
Yeah. Honestly, to this day, I would say me and our friends, we've travelled over 40 plus countries, different continents around the world, and hand on heart, we have to say that Pakistan has the best food ever.
I mean, it's not a biased review, obviously, because we're Pakistani, obviously, but you know, it's just one of those. Like,
No,
we've compared it. We've always compared it. Whenever we've travelled around, and we've just like we've come back and we've said, "Oh, this food is just the best."
It just is different.
Yeah. So you know, there's, obviously, when you're in Pakistan, curries, naan, seekh kebabs, roast chicken, all that kind of stuff is all over the place. You know, depends where you are. In Lahore, they have different dishes. In Islamabad, they have different dishes. So, you know, just try the local cuisine when you're there, and the local speciality, especially when you're in Gilgit as well. It's just like in the northern region of Pakistan, it's just completely different. They don't have spices out there. They have very, very minimal spices in the northern region.
Yeah.
And in the south, like in Punjab, it's very, very hot, spicy food. Well,
make sure you get out and go to Peshawar and have some chapli kebabs too.
If you're in Islamabad, and you want a really good kadai place and you want to go to a restaurant, but kadai restaurant is really, really good. I had an amazing chicken kadai there, and it was a chicken that was literally slaughtered a few seconds before we ordered, so it was as fresh as you get. That was good.
And in Lahore, we had the most amazing biryani.
Oh yeah, that was
and
so delicious.
I will put the footage here right now. So I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it was absolutely amazing. I remember taking a picture of it.
Yeah, and it was just a random place. We asked our driver to stop off. He's, you know, do you know a nice biryani place? And he's like, yeah, I heard of one here, let's go there. And he just stopped off. It was like a no-frills restaurant, which was, you know, just all they did was serve biryani. That was their speciality.
And remember, just on the side street, we just parked up the car, we fancied it, we were a bit peckish, we wanted a snack, and we got the samosas.
Oh yeah.
Like samosas and a takeaway sort of plate.
Yeah.
With all these like mixed yogurt and everything on it. It was just so tasty.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah. So definitely try the food, be adventurous. Don't worry about getting, you know, a dodgy stomach. Most places over there tend to be clean, sanitary, so you know, just make common sense. If it's a nice hotel, you know, generally speaking their food is good. If it's a street food place and the food is turning over quite quickly, then you know the food hasn't been there that long. So
yeah,
you know, just use common sense, just like any other place you would when it comes to eating out.
So moving on to the next one, guys, is another thing to do whilst you're in Pakistan is salwar kameez.
Buy a traditional Pakistani salwar kameez. Once you're in Pakistan and you've tried on a pair of salwar kameez, I'm telling you, jeans, t-shirt will just not cut it.
No.
Salwar kameez are hands down the most comfortable piece of clothing that you will wear when you're out there.
Especially in the heat.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a must do. You should try the local clothing.
Yeah.
It's just so breathable. You can get some really, really nice materials, and I think Irfan, you got a suit.
I got one made for, I think it was like 15 quid, and that's considered to be expensive because I went for the really, really, really good cloth, and that's made to my measurements, it's not off the rack. And it took like, I think, if I wanted it, could have been made in about 5-6 hours. So like literally there and then. So I would definitely recommend it. And you know, when you think about in Pakistan, when you're there, it's hot, it's humid, you know, you're in and out of places. You might go to someone's house and sit down on the floor to eat, or you go to the mosque and you've got to sit down. You know, sitting out cross-legged or in awkward positions in jeans and t-shirts just doesn't cut it. Mm-hmm. And because salwar kameez is nice and baggy and it flows really well,
yeah,
and it'll keep you cool.
The next thing on the list, guys, is make sure you have a game of cricket.
Yeah.
Cricket is massive in Pakistan, and if you can see yourself, there's locals playing, just get involved, because cricket is just like football equivalent of the UK.
Yeah, people playing cricket left, right, centre in all the fields, you know, out there. Kids on the side road, people out in the field after work, you know, all that kind of stuff. So just, if you find yourself seeing some people playing, just get involved, just get involved.
Another must-do thing is make sure you get a local SIM card.
So 4G mobile phone service out in Pakistan is actually really good. You get signal most of the places, even out in rural villages, and it's very, very cheap. It's easy as well, isn't it? So you just go to one of the local SIM card shops, they'll register the SIM card for you. You just need maybe your passport number or a copy of your ID, or one of your relatives can sign up the SIM card on your behalf, or you know, one of the locals that you know, if you have any problems, and off you go. I think we paid for a 25 gig 1 2-week package, it was something like £1.50.
It was not expensive
For 2 weeks. Yeah, it wasn't expensive at all.
It was so cheap and literally ready to go. So
there's loads of providers out there. So I think there's Jazz, which is one of the main ones. There's Zong, which is also a main one. So those two are the main providers out there, and they work in both the city and the rural areas.
Yeah, I think I had Zong and it was really, really good.
Yeah, so cheap, affordable, get it done as soon as you're there.
The next one, guys, is
learn the local language, or not completely, but the main phrases that will get you about day to day.
Yeah, so like Assalamu alaikum, that's like peace be upon you. You know, you say that when you're greeting somebody.
Yeah, or thank you, which is shukriya.
Yeah,
or
shukriya again with your hand on your chest.
Yeah, so these type of day-to-day phrases, learn them before you go, because the locals will really, really appreciate it and actually be surprised that foreigners come in and learn some of the language, and you'll actually find that they will start going out of their way to start trying to speak English with you, and you'll be surprised actually that English is actually quite widely spoken in Pakistan,
yeah.
because it's taught from a young age in school. So you'll find in the cities a lot of people speak English, and in some of the villages as well actually.
And you might find as well, you might get yourself a bit of a discount because you know the local language, so you might be able to negotiate and they give you a better price, so it's obviously good to have that.
Yeah, so definitely pick up on some phrases before you go, and while you're out there, you know, speak to a few people and try and learn some day-to-day phrases as well.
Yeah. Pack a flashlight, and that is because
load shedding.
Yeah.
If you watched that video last week, don't be surprised if the lights go out randomly during the day or night, and this is why you should take a flashlight with you.
Yeah.
Because the electricity randomly does cut off.
It does
sometimes.
cut off, and it could just happen all of a sudden. You may not notice this if you are in the shopping malls or in the shopping centre, but if you find yourself in a rural place or in a village and the lights go off, you are just sat there. It's quite peaceful actually, because you're there in silence, disconnected from the world, and appreciate and the noises around you.
Yeah.
But definitely would recommend is getting a flashlight.
Yeah.
So this one is quite important, I think, just in general, not just in Pakistan, but anywhere you go, but I would definitely recommend it, is
clear the prices before you purchase something.
Yeah.
So if you're out in the shops and you're going to buy something, I mean things like if you're going to get a haircut, or if you want to buy some food and the prices aren't on the menu, clear the prices beforehand, just to be sure what, you know, how much it is that you're going to pay for these items.
Yeah, I found that when we've travelled, I always like to clear the prices, especially with taxi fares and things like that, so you're not hit with a big bill by the end of the ride.
Yeah.
And it's not a shock to you, so definitely do that. I think this is a general tip, not just in Pakistan, but it's something to save yourself having a big surprise
at the end. And generally you find that actually things are very fairly priced out in Pakistan. People are quite honest, you won't get overcharged being a foreigner. But there are unfortunately certain situations where this possibility might arise, and so just to be on the safe side, it's best to just ask how much it is, clear the price up front so that there's no surprise afterwards. And you know, it's just one of those things which, if you're travelling about, it's a good thing to do regardless anyway.
The next thing I would suggest is, if you are in a city, use the Ubers because they're quite convenient to get around place from A to B, which I was quite surprised actually that they had them in Islamabad.
Yeah, and don't be surprised when you order an Uber, when you get inside, the guy asking you, where are you going? Because they don't tend to use Uber the same way that we do in the UK, where you put a start and end destination. It's almost like just used solely for a ride hailing app. So it's kind of to flag down a taxi, for example, and then, you know, you tell the driver where you want to go and it'll take you to that destination, and the price gets charged accordingly.
And it's not because, you know, anything fishy or dodgy, it's just because one of the taxi drivers did mention to us that it's not always 100% accurate, the location. So it could be that, you know, the app has worked out a closer radius when it's actually a lot further for the taxi driver.
Yeah.
So they have to clarify that before picking you up.
Yeah, exactly. So
and that's one of the reasons why they'd always ask you, where is it that you're going?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah. But Ubers generally in Pakistan, we found, were safe, reliable and easy to use.
Yeah. So if you do get asked, and if you're fortunate enough would definitely recommend attending a Pakistani wedding.
Yeah, they tend to go on for a number of days, not just one, usually about 3 days. So there's a pre-wedding ceremony, which is called the Mendi, which is where all the dancing and singing and all that kind of stuff happens.
Which I'd probably say is probably one of the best days to go, because that's where you've got a lot of things going on, entertainment, dances like Irfan mentioned, and it's just a crazy time. So get yourself to a wedding. You might be surprised, you might get invited to a wedding while you're out there.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a really good experience.
Yeah, and again, to be fair, it's a good opportunity to eat some delicious food as well.
For free.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's one of the most positive things actually out of it all. Another thing to do when you're out in Pakistan is make sure you take some kind of travel debit card with you. So in the cities, cards, the use of ATM cards to make payment is widely accepted. So you can use your bank card to make payments. So something like a Starling or Monzo really comes in handy out there. Definitely comes in handy out there. Because carrying large sums of cash isn't generally safe anywhere. And I try to avoid it. There's loads of ATMs out in the cities. So what I tend to do was I used to take around £100 out at a time, and that would last me a good few days. And whenever I was running low of cash, I would just kind of, tell one of the drivers that we had that day, or the taxi driver, to kind of stop off at a cash point, and they would and they would know which ones work and which ones are useful. So I would say take some cash with you to get you started, but take a debit card that you can use in the ATMs while you're out there.
Definitely. We have got a blog post, which is a link in the description below to our website, which we can go into more detail about these debit cards, especially if you are from the UK.
Yeah, and just to be safe, I would say take a couple of debit cards with you, just in case one gets stuck or one gets lost or stolen or isn't there. And what I tend to do was keep one on me in my pocket, and then one, say, in my backpack or my suitcase that was maybe that I was checking into a flight, or it was in the hold of a bus or a taxi or whatever, so that they're far apart, and so if I lose one, I've always got one as a backup. Okay
guys, so that is the end of our things that you must do in Pakistan. And if you haven't already, don't forget to check out things not to do whilst in Pakistan. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit that bell icon if you want to be reminded when we upload our next video. And remember guys, follow that vision. Build the visions.